And can you give us a brief overview about these classes for anyone who's interested in potentially joining us?
Yeah. So the these classes I love. They're very specific tools. So the tools of sacred geometry level 2 are all about crystals.
Mm,
How to use crystals for healing, how to use crystals to heal yourself, to work on other people. Um, crystal gridding is maybe one of the favorites of this
mhm,
class. Probably, it's a 8 to 10 hour long class in terms of, including lunch break and that sort of thing. It's a 10-hour class. And the real like hands-on teaching time is about 9 hours in this class. So with all the little other breaks in there, it's like literally we're doing crystal work for 8 hours straight. It's so much about crystals. And of course, the crystals are everything. I mean, I'm wearing a crystal bracelet here. I've got crystals hanging out with me as we do this podcast, right? I love crystals. I recently renovated or revamped, not really renovated, my office here, and I had so many crystals around. I had to remove most of them from the room because it just looked like a crystal museum. So
People were confused.
it was getting a little obscene. They're like, is this a crystal store? Or is this a healing office? I was like, well, kind of both. But um, and at home, same thing. I just have crystals everywhere because I love them. And they give so much. And I think a lot of people on a spiritual path often get pretty tuned in with crystals
Mm,
as a thing. People are wearing crystals, they have them at their house. And then there's this big question of, well, what do we do with them? Is
mm,
it just like wear a bracelet or have a big tower around that? That's nice and that holds energy. And I do that too. But there are very specific techniques in the mystery school on how do you use crystals for healing.
mhm,
So we start that day off with very specific techniques, and it's a lot of partner work, right? Because you're working on other people. So we
mhm,
do crystal healings, crystal readings, what we call crystal magical rites, where you're actually chanting over and over again, sometimes for 20 to 60 minutes for yourself or for a client. And I use those crystal rites at least multiple times a week on myself still. It's been
mhm.
20 years since I took this class. 2006, October. When did I take this class? Not even. I think it might have been October 2006. So it's been almost 20 years since I first took this class. And I've been using these crystal
Amazing.
rights pretty much nonstop, at least once or twice a month. Now I'm using them probably once or twice a week because they're so versatile.
Mhm,
And there so many things in the mystery school for those who have taken Sacred Geometry 1 are so deceptively simple,
mhm.
right? You're taking your fingers in Sacred Geometry 1 and you're drawing things on a wall. How basic is that, right? And people come to that class and they're like, wait, triangle, square, circle. What about Metatron's cube? What about the Vesica Pisces? What about the inner geometries of the Pythagorean theorem and like how these things relate to the golden mean and the Fibonacci sequence? And that's cool. And we can talk about that, but that is actually not where we start you with sacred geometry.
Mhm.
And that's not
Yeah.
even more or less advanced. Just because the math is more complicated or seems to be, because everything is mathematics is the mind of God also, and it's
Mhm,
it's not necessarily more or less complicated. There's just many different permutations of how it plays out in relationship to geometry, and geometry is the structure of all things.
mm,
Everything has geometric relationship. Frequencies are contained within shapes, and shapes are formed by frequencies, and the frequency is inherent in the shape, and the shape is inherent inside the frequency.
mhm,
They're not, you can't separate them. You can't separate frequency and geometry. And that statement just has infinite layers of depth to it.
mhm,
And if, yeah, you can study it intellectually and say, oh, it's so advanced and it's so complicated, but really the simplest things, the most basic things are often the most powerful because they
mhm,
contain all the other keys inside of them. So you're
mhm.
drawing triangles, squares, and circles. Every other key to the universe is being opened up at the same time. You're saying a few things over and over again. And we say, well, this crystal magical right is for healing the past. And you're like, healing the past? What do you mean healing the past? Anything in the past? Yes. Anything in the past. And this one's for
Mhm,
healing the future. Anything in the future? Yes. Anything in the future. It will make your life better in the future. It will make your life better in the past. And you'll get to enjoy things more right now in the present. So I use those crystal magical chanting healing rites on myself. I don't use them on clients so much because one, they're kind of weird, to be
mhm,
honest. But two, there's other more powerful techniques that I have now to do on other people. But in the early days, I was using it on other
Yeah.
people all the time.
100%.
Like when the only tool you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail, and there's no harm
Yeah.
in using it. So let's use it. So I did that a lot in the early days. Like when I first learned Mystery School and Sophic Reiki, I was just giving everybody Reiki. It was like life activation, crystal healing, Reiki. That was it. That's all I had.
100%.
So
Yeah.
I was just doing that all the time. And it really, people have big healings with these things. So
Hmm.
those are some of the techniques that you learn to do for others, along with a crystal reading. And I, for those like yourself or other people who I might have worked with in your community before, many times when I sit down with someone for a healing, we'll talk for a little while, and then I'll say, let's ask the crystals.
Hmm.
And I pull out those crystals. I mean, you're 5 hours away in Pennsylvania, so you don't come for sessions with me all the time. But for
Right.
people who do know that, who most likely not people watching this video, probably 90% of the time, if I bring a client in for a one-off session, meaning they're not in the middle of a big healing series like
Hmm.
King Solomon, auric region, physical region, mind region, those are
Right.
preset. Those you come in, you're mostly in silence. You give the client a hug. We know what we're doing today. Please have a seat. Great to see you. How was your week? Let's start. Let's get started. Right.
Hmm.
But when someone comes in and says, Jordan, I just want to have a healing with you. I want a session. I want some kind of, I'm not sure what I need. We sit, we talk, and then after we talk, I say, well, I think maybe we're going to do this, but let's ask the crystals. And we do a
Hmm.
crystal reading. And usually that person gets
That's great.
massive insight about what's really happening in their life. They can ask
Hmm.
questions. It's very question and answer back and forth with the
Hmm.
crystal readings. And even if you don't think you're particularly intuitive, you will find yourself knowing many
Absolutely.
things. When you are a practitioner with those keys in your energy field, you grab those crystals, you're going to know something about your client. And you might not trust yourself, and that could take time for you to develop the self trust to be able to know what to do, and not to know what to do, to trust yourself enough to simply speak it rather than
Hmm.
second guessing yourself. That's a better way to say it.
Awesome.
So those things are all covered in crystal magic and sacred geometry too. And those crystal grids, I did some for a client last year. She was in Kabbalah, and yes, Kabbalah really works. Yes, her manifestation in her life had a lot to do with Kabbalah, but I mean, this woman got every single thing she asked for on her vision board,
Hmm.
uh, to the nines. I mean, she like, bought a new house, entered into this amazing new relationship. Like, I'm not even gonna give away all the things that happened to her because it's almost a little bit unbelievable. And some of the things are so specific, I don't want to like break confidentiality and identify her.
Mm.
But I'll just say some big things that happened for her,
Yeah.
the specific things that happened for her. But there were at least four other areas for this person who really came to Kabbalah and the mystery school super skeptical, but she just happened to decide right at the beginning of Kabbalah, literally it was like 1 week after Kabbalah started, she paid me to crystal grid her whole house. And I
Nice.
did her like every single room had all the grids, and living in that home, everything in her life just like snapped and rearranged within like 3 months. It was just whew, completely new
Hmm.
life in 3 months.
That's amazing.
So those grids take a lot of work to set up. They are
Yeah.
no joke. You'll spend several days to several weeks planning, preparing, doing the grids, but once they're in, they're there forever.
They're amazing. Yeah.
And so you'll learn how to do those in sacred geometry too. So let's go a little bit into sacred geometry 3. That
Hmm.
class is completely different than sacred
So,
geometry 2. It's
it's
completely
so
different than
different.
any other class we have in the mystery school. You're
Very
gonna,
much so.
it's hilarious too. I mean, like you have to hold reverence while meditating with crystals. That's not hard. Staring at a candle, that's not hard. With sacred geometry, you're staring at sacred geometries with a candle right next to it. You're holding crystals. That seems really right on. And then at
Right.
the end, each layer of the 7 layers of the aura that we're healing, you roll a potato at your client's crotch.
Yeah.
Right. After you stick it with a needle, like you're doing voodoo on the potato. You're not really doing voodoo because you're not trying to harm the potato, but the potato is acting as an absorber of all the negative energies that are getting pushed out of that client's energy field
Hmm.
as the different Egyptian gods and goddesses working through the sacred geometries come in and help to restructure that client's energy field. It's so wild and wacky, and yet it's so effective.
It's amazing.
It's
Yep.
very specific. It's not something I do on myself all that often. I do it maybe only a few times a year, but when I need it, I need it. I do it
Me too.
whenever my mind gets really squirrely or weird about a certain topic. I need to bring my mind back under my own control. Like if your mind is not under your own control in a given area of your life, you need SG3.
Hmm.
Plain and simple. Do SG3 on yourself. If you're trying to get something done and your mind is all over the place with it, do SG3 on it. It's absolute. There's no better technique for that. At least
So
not that
with
you can do
that
for
with
yourself.
that said, they get to within that class, it's a tool that you can use for yourself and for others, correct?
Exactly. Yeah.
Mm.
So a lot of people use it as a tool for themselves,
Yep.
especially because it's so weird to do for somebody else. It's like you really got to drink the Kool-Aid to think that that's something you want to do for another person, because rolling potatoes at people's crotch is weird, uh, and yet it works. So if
Yeah.
you have, it might not be the first time you do a session for a client. Maybe after you've known them for a little bit
Yeah.
and you feel comfortable saying, "We're going to roll a potato at your crotch 7 times." Then you might want to do it for somebody. But until then, maybe you just want to roll it at your own crotch, and that will be enough. Uh,
Fair.
Even just as a self healing technique, it's extremely powerful.
Totally.
And I'm always shocked when I do it for people who you'd think, oh my god, I can't believe I'm suggesting this for this client because
Yep.
they're gonna walk out and I'm never gonna see them again after doing this for them. People love it
100%. I
because they
feel the
get
exact
so
same
much
way.
out of it.
I know. It's like one that I've hesitated at times to suggest when it's absolutely the right one. And actually, I have one scheduled tomorrow. When we do this, I have one scheduled tomorrow because I've been talking about Sacred Geometry 3 more, and people have been like, "Oh, I want to do that one." But it's so unique and also ceremonial. So it feels like a ceremony of sorts too. And every time I've done it for a client, the the response afterwards is like it's not strange, it's not weird because the results and the effect are so impactful. Yeah.
And they feel it during it.
During
It's
it,
not
yeah.
one of those healings where they wonder if something's happening.
Correct.
They are gazing at sacred geometries. You're ringing a bell. There's a
Hmm.
potato. Like, yes, it's kind of strange and kind of funny, but their mind shifts. By the end of the session, their mind is in a very different
Totally.
place.
Yeah.
It's instantaneous. It's not one
Yeah.
of those healings that takes like 24 hours to start to
No.
fit. Like, it all happens during the session, and
Hmm.
they come out of that session feeling shifted.
And each layer is so unique and distinct. And most people really can connect to a few of them in a strong way and describe their experience within that layer of the aura being cleared. So yeah, you're right. It is one that, it's people who have trouble per se feeling certain energies most of the time report like very significant shifts and experiences for different layers. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, definitely. And the aura is really, it's one of those things that it's very connected to our physical body, but it's very
Mhm.
connected to the mind. It's like how the mind
Mhm.
and the soul have a lot of interface with each other. Chakra system, tree of life, that has a lot to do with the mind and the soul interface. But the aura is
Mhm.
another major system. The
Cool.
mind and
Yeah.
soul get together through the aura. So yeah, I do love that, especially on myself. Even if I don't do it that much for clients, it's the right healing at the right time. And it's one of those tools that maybe you'll keep in your back pocket, not
Mhm.
use it a lot, and then you pull it out once a year, and you're like, I'm so glad I had that
Absolutely.
tool to be able to do that for myself. Because even just as people's guides, once they have that in their toolkit, when they come to me and they're struggling with something that's big, I'm going to ask them, did you do SG3 on yourself?
Mhm.
And so I always wish it for my own clients that they at least take SG1 through 3,
Mhm.
because, I don't want someone to come to me for every little thing that they need to shift.
Right.
I want
Mhm.
them to do these things for themselves. Come to me when you have something that you can't handle, that seems like you're really stuck and you're not sure what to do, but do all these other things first.
Mhm.
And having the tools to self heal is really,
Yeah.
not everybody wants that. Some people just want to be taken care of as a client, and I get
Right.
that. But if that's you, I would still challenge you and invite you to shift your mindset,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
there's something about being able to take care of your own energy,
Mhm.
that's it's just really powerful. It's not like anything.
Yeah. Yeah, and especially for I was kind of like you said at the beginning, it's like I had life activation, aura healing, crystal healing, and then eventually had like SG3, the Egyptian Aura, and I maxed out on those tools. I used the ones that I could with clients. So I actually got a lot of reps and experience with the crystal healing, the crystal rites, the crystal reading, and then SG3 with people. And I really got to understand what they did for others. But in addition, the when somebody steps into that role as healer, it's really nice to not always have to go to a practitioner to do some work for yourself. And early on, I would do these, especially when I was traveling. I was doing a lot more traveling at the beginning of my path, and I'd always take those crystals for crystal healing to do crystal healing work on myself. Or when I got home and had extra time, do the SG3. And those were vital for me to make breakthroughs while I was learning to serve others. Also, kind of flowing that light to myself, which was really, now that we're talking about it, I can really connect back to like, that was so helpful. And I was maxing those tools out, and I really got to understand how they could work for myself and others. So I'm excited for people to experience that for sure.
Cool. Yeah. So I feel like, is there anything else that you want to know or that you feel that your community, your students would want to understand about sacred geometry 2 and 3?
I think what I just want to add is, I always say to people that are taking Sacred Geometry too, it is like one of the ultimate 1 day classes that exists within the mystery school because, like you hinted upon, it's like a 10-hour day, a 9-hour day where almost all of it is practical work. And I remember having a lot of this apprehension of like, I'm not really a crystal person. I don't have a lot of draw at that point in time to crystals, but I really could feel the distinct nature of each thing that we were being handed down. And I can say the crystal, if somebody commits to doing it, the crystal gridding is one of the most lifetime helpful pieces that you can receive on the path. I mean, it has just made my home, my office, just a different type of place. And so many times people walk into those spaces and they're like, there is just something about this place. And you hear it over and over and over again. And for somebody who has, they don't know what you're into, they don't know I'm into anything. They'll walk into the office, they might be dropping a package off at the center, and they're like, what is this place? What is the energy of this place? So it speaks for itself. And what a helpful tool that does the talking so you can really be kind of much more centered in the light. So it's just such a great class to help people just have a better life.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't lived in a space that has not been crystal gridded since 2010. So I kind of forget,
Yeah.
but I do remember when I first moved into, I had a space that was crystal gridded partially in 2010, 2011, 2012.
Hmm.
Then I moved into a new apartment in 2013. And
Hmm.
that one I fully crystal gridded the entire thing and fully crystal gridded every room. And
Hmm.
even then, I was already a mystery school guide. I was already a ritual master. I was already a Kabbalah apprentice. I had done this work for, 8 years at that point, going on 9 years by the time I moved in there. And man, I had 3 months of really deep self heal. Every night was like new healing dreams living in that
Hmm.
space.
Yeah.
Crystals will meet you where you're at. So no matter
Hmm.
how much work you've done before, they will come to your level. You go up a level, they come to your level. You go up,
Hmm.
they keep meeting you where you are. And
100%.
that's one of the things that's powerful. That's true for not just the grids. That's true for the crystal healings too. Like I said, I've been doing those crystal rites, chanting at least once a month on myself for 20 years.
Yeah.
20 years. And like they've never gotten old.
Yeah. It's
They've
an
never
amazing tool.
expired.
Yeah.
Oh, I outgrew those crystal rites. No, it's just like the rituals. We don't outgrow the magic circle, the Kabbalistic cross, the prayer
Oh,
protection. Like these things are with us. So yeah,
yeah. That's amazing.
yeah.
Yeah. And finally, like at the root of this, how can this help individuals and help them help others? Like we talked about that before we even got on the call, but kind of what's your big takeaway of how's it both these classes going to help really support an individual and help them support others?
You know, what we haven't really talked about, we've talked about these techniques, we've talked about their effects. What's happening inside of a person when they become a practitioner of these and take these trainings? There's a set of, and this is why they're called Sacred Geometry 2, Sacred Geometry 3. After
Mm-hmm.
this, sacred geometry 4, 5, 6. The sacred geometries, the more levels of it you take, the less I mean, there's no obvious connection. Like
Mm,
sacred geometry 4 is kind of more related to sacred geometry 1. Why don't we make sacred geometry 4 sacred
mm,
geometry level 2?
it's good.
It's just an extension of 1, right? No, because we had to do these other things first.
Mm,
So the energy field of that person who becomes a practitioner of sacred geometry 2, their energy field is being restructured
hmm
with sacred geometry. There's keys that are being handed down that upgrade their baseline operating system of energies. So it's not only I'm taking sacred geometry 2 because I want to do crystal readings for my clients or for my friends, or I want to grab those crystals and do sacred geometry crystal rites for myself with chanting every day or every week or every month,
mm,
whatever it is. It's not only the technique, it's not only the healing, it's actually a restructuring of the person's energy field.
hmm
It's something is upgraded within their way that they see the world and how they relate to everything.
mm,
And I don't, even as a teacher of this,
mm,
I don't have a way to describe what that alteration is, but I see it in people. And I guess maybe I could
mm,
describe it as enhanced possibility.
mm,
Maybe the person has more access to possibility
mm,
because a new field is open to them.
mm,
Yes, the field of self-healing, but also the ability to, you know, communicate. Like this is a being. This is not just just a stone.
mhm,
This is a being. So how much richer is my life if my energy field knows how to interact with this being?
mm.
That sounds really woo-woo. But think about this. This is sodalite. I don't actually know the chemical formula for sodalite. Sure, I could look it up. But there's only a limited number of elements in the periodic table, and there's a relatively limited number of elements even within minerals.
Mhm,
Probably only several dozen normally repeating elements in the periodic table that make up most minerals. And it's all about sacred geometry. The
mm,
geometries, the chemical bonds between those different elements make up these minerals. Most of those minerals have a relationship with our body.
mm.
Those minerals are in sacred geometric configurations inside your own body. That's not just not an accident, but the geometries of the minerals inside my body, the geometries of the minerals in here, the minerals in here, this is fluorite, right? These are alive. They're not just
Mm,
alive metaphysically for people who are psychic, like they're in your body.
mhm,
And when you energetically connect with these beings, something is reflected into you.
mm,
What is the benefit of that being awakened in someone?
mm.
It's one of those the world may never know kind of things.
Yeah, for sure.
Like that might be something science never describes in 1,000 years,
Mm,
but a lot of people feel it. A lot of
mm,
people are drawn to crystals for very deep reasons that
yeah.
science really might never explain and put into words. But these minerals are making up a large part of your own body. No, most of your body is 99.9% empty space, but on the quantum level. And so whatever, 70 to 90% of your body is water, right?
Mm, yeah.
But the matrices of the molecules that actually make up tissue have these minerals in them.
Mm,
There's a relationship there. There's a
yeah.
relationship between life, between all life forms, plants, animals, humans, all of them are tied together with these.
Mm,
So when you start to work with crystals, which we do in both sacred geometry 2 and 3, um, your structure is being upgraded. Your
mm,
energy structure is being upgraded. There's an awareness of the interconnectedness of life that is enhanced. And that's then important for the higher levels of sacred geometry. even though
Mhm.
that makes no sense based on
Right.
modern science and the human brain. So that's one of those very interesting, kind of esoteric things that at the root, when we open up studying these geometries, we're opening up the relationships between all of life
Mm.
so that everything can work better in life. It's not just about grabbing some crystals and
Yeah.
chant or like walking around and spending days gridding your house. Those are manifestations of some shift that's happened inside when a person
Mm.
does these classes. So I'd say take these classes because you want to expand your relationships with life.
That's
You want
great.
to deepen your understanding of where do I fit into life and where does life fit into me?
Mm.
How am I connected with these things? And those kinds of questions were the questions that ancient initiates like Leonardo da Vinci were asking.
Mm.
How do I explore the relationships between life? Well, I'm going to go back to the wisdom of the ancients. I'm going to go back to geometry.
Mm.
I'm going to study vibration. And enough people like Da Vinci and Paracelsus and the early alchemists and Enlightenment thinkers and Renaissance thinkers, they were, whether not nearly all of them were mystery school initiates, but some of them were mystery school initiates. And those kinds of questions led to modern science.
Mm. That's
Without
great.
those ways of thinking, we wouldn't have modern science. So these things are all deeply connected, and we're not going to figure that out. But through these types of classes, we are going to lean into and explore um, all the relationships in our lives and the transformation of those things. So you should join us.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah.